Hey guys, this is Jason
This is
Douglas.
Adam MacArthur, voice of Yuji Itadori.
This is Derek Snow, the voice of Shinra Kusakabe.
This is Phil Parsons, voice of Kenny the Ripper Ackerman.
It's Merc Nguyen. You're watching Voice of the Heroes. Take it away, Flea Boy.
What's good, everybody? You already know who it is and what it is. And if you don't, it's the one and only one, Flea Boy Jetson. And you're watching Voice of the Heroes. So if you're tuning in for the first time, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any upcoming interviews or discussions with your favorite heroes and villains from around the world. And today we have a very special guest. He is not only the voice, but the face we all grew up with, especially if you grew up watching Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. He is the mentor that guided the teenagers with attitudes against the forces of darkness through multiple seasons that included Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Power Rangers Xeno, Power Rangers Turbo, Power Rangers in Space. Let's welcome David Fielding to the show. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming. So we're definitely going to geek out and talk about some Power Rangers stuff. Now, you started out voicing Zordon, and then eventually, the late, great Robert L. Amahheim, right? That's how you pronounce his last name? Manahan, excuse me, got to voice the character over the couple of seasons, but throughout all these seasons, they still used your likeness.
Correct.
Did you have to come in every other season and do additional recording, or did they just recycle the footage from the 93 season?
They recycled the footage from the pilot that we shot. I never filmed anything beyond the pilot. So all of the footage of Zordon's face is taken from that footage. So I guess they got a bang for their buck on that one.
Oh, what? They used that. They used it in like 4 different seasons.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
all
And
that work
because
they did was from that pilot?
Yeah, because the way the show was produced, it was a non-union show. So uh, when we filmed the pilot, it hadn't been picked up by Fox yet. It hadn't been sold to a studio or whatever. So I was just the contract that I signed was a day player non-union contract, which is a very basic contractual agreement that a lot of actors sign to do like a one-day work job out there in Hollywood. And it paid $150 and that was it. And they owned all of the footage that they shot because of that non-union contract. So they were able to use that footage in any way that they saw fit. And I don't know when the decision was made to just not include me in any other filming of it, but I think that may have been the plan from the beginning because they were reusing the Sentai footage for every of the episodes and sort of like taking it out of context of the original Sentai show and pasting it in whatever they had written for the American version of the show. So they just felt it was easier. And one of the other reasons they did that is because there were no toys for Zordon. Zordon wasn't an American invention for the show. There was no real sort of counterpart to the Zoo Ranger show that was the majority of the Mighty Morphin seasons that footage was taken from. So they didn't really feel the need to concentrate on the character that much. They just would throw him up there to either give advice or to let the Rangers know what was going to happen or what was happening during the fight, and to congratulate them when they won. But because there was no merchandise that they were actually actively pushing or anything like that, there was no reason to sort of like focus any sort of attention on Zordon. So it's the nature of the business.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because, now we have so much context and so much history for Zordon that I think it would have been wonderful if they would have explored the character a little more and got to his backstory in the series. But, hopefully they get around to doing that in some of the upcoming stuff that they got in the works. But you contributed to one of the most enduring kid franchises in television history. Yet early production was famously low budget, like you talked about, and fast paced. What were some of the pros of cons on working on a cultural juggernaut like Power Rangers?
Well, at the time when we were working on it, before it actually hit the airwaves, it was just like a job, and a very infrequent job for me because I wasn't on set every day like the kids, because they were doing 14, 15, 16-hour days, 6 days a week.
Oh man.
I was off working a day job, and every 3 or 4 weeks, I would get a call to come into the ADR studio to do the lines for the 4 or 5 episodes that they had shot. And then I would go away again and not hear another thing for another 3 or 4 weeks. So it was very infrequent. I felt very distant from the show, very much like the character of Zordon. I was separated, and but it was also very cool to come in and see what they had filmed and to get the synopsis of some of the plots and trying to figure out how to react to some of the crazy monsters and stuff that they fought. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, I actually seen in a couple of interviews, right? The cast was talking about how, they would put a tennis ball in the place of Zordon
Yeah.
up on the wall or something. They would have to stare at the tennis ball, excuse me, or the globe on the side of them. Like they would tell them, hey, look here, look there. And I also seen in an interview that you only got to see the cast one time. And that was in like some audition, and you didn't get to see them for years on later.
Well, I mean, I saw them twice actually. I saw them during the audition, and then they were there the day that we filmed. So they were actually feeding my lines, and I was actually acting with them during the filming process. But after that, I never saw them again. I mean, uh, it would have been nice if they had brought me into the command center scenes so that I could have done the lines for them while they were looking at that tennis ball on the wall, rather than them just relying on some production assistant who would read the lines, because whenever you do acting, you like to react to the actual voice of the person that you're acting with, and so it was tough on them to have to sort of like act that they were hearing, the voice of Zordon, this wise mentor character, when it was obviously just somebody off screen reading the lines off a page and not really giving them a whole lot of acting into it. So yeah.
So altogether, how many episodes did you actually do on the first Mighty Morphin Power Rangers?
Well, I did the voice for the first 31 episodes. My last episode was Calamity Kimberly, where Kimberly is like up in the plane and she has to fly it and land it by herself or whatever. That was the last episode that I actually did the voice. And if you pay close attention, you can actually hear the change from my voice to Robert's in episode 32.
Interesting. And you said you did get to see the cast the second time. When was the second time you got to see them?
When we were filming for the pilot, that was it. And then I didn't see them again for like another 20 years until 2014 when I did my first Power Morphicon convention.
Oh, so you didn't even get to meet JDF in the beginning.
No, unfortunately, I didn't get to meet Twee and I didn't get to meet JDF until 2016. So as it's very interesting to know that, Jason and Tommy had this relationship with the Zordon character, but we never actually met face to face or spoke or acted together on the screen. So, and unfortunately, I never got to meet Twee because when we filmed the pilot, the part of Trini was played by Audrey Dubois in the pilot before she was replaced and recast. So yeah, unfortunately, I never got to meet those two. JDF
Wow.
later, yes, but Twee I never got to
When
meet.
did you get to meet JDF? At a Morphicon?
It was it was at a convention. I'm not sure if it was Pensacon or at some other location, but we got to meet and chat, and he was very warm and very a pleasure to talk to. Very busy, of course. He had so many people waiting on him and stuff. So we just had, and then I saw him several times after that, but it was always very brief because he was always here and there and going very fast. So yeah.
How much freedom did you have in shaping the tone and delivery of the character?
Um, n- that's a great question because on one hand, I didn't have very much freedom at all because there was not a whole lot to do with Zordon. when I auditioned for the character, the only information I was given was that he's a 10,000-year-old wizard and he's trapped in a time warp. Go. And so, unlike the Boom Studios comics, where they really go into detail about Zordon's backstory and what the planet of Eltar is like, and there was none of that. And the only sort of direction I was given was very minimal. And when I was doing the ADR voices for the episodes, it was all very uh, quick and sharp, and it was all very basic because Zordon was basically a exposition device. He would give them information about what was going on, how to try to solve the problem, and then, probably give them some words of advice or words of congratulations at the end, and that was it. There was no character building for the character. He was um, very much like what you see on the show. He was just this face on a wall, and he was a force for good, definitely, but there wasn't a whole lot of fleshing him out in a certain sense.
Yeah. Were you surprised on how passionate and loyal the Power Ranger fandom has been even throughout the decades?
Oh yeah, I mean, I was invited to do a small convention in 2011, Con in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And that was my first time sitting on a stage and looking at an audience of people and realizing, oh wow, this show really meant something to people. Because when I filmed it, it was just sort of like, oh, this is one of those Saturday morning cartoon shows. It'll be on the air for a year and then it'll disappear. And after I left LA and moved back to the East Coast, it was just sort of like a strange anecdote that I could tell people at parties that, oh yeah, I was on this kids television show, and it was kind of fun to do that, but I didn't really keep up with it. And it wasn't until Facebook got released in like 2009, and I started to get messages from people that I didn't know asking me if I was the actor that played Zordon on Power Rangers. And I was very curious. I was like, oh, is that show still, what happened to that show? And that's when I started to realize, oh, wow, they filmed all these multiple seasons and then they had different seasons with different actors and stuff. And I was like, wow, this show is still going on. And yeah, sitting on that stage in 2011 and hearing people tell stories about what the show meant to them, yeah, I really finally understood, oh, that little thing I did, almost 30 years ago, that really means a lot. And so I've tried to honor that as much as possible.
Yeah, it definitely means so much to the world, especially to, kids that grew up in the 90s like myself. Like I think Power Rangers did such a great job of giving, you know, everyone across the world a hero to look up with the diversity of the cast and things like that. And recently in Hollywood Demons, where the show, indicated how Tony Oliver said, he feels like it was a mistake to cast the Black Ranger as a black actor and the Yellow Ranger as the Yellow Ranger. But growing up, we didn't see it like that or understand, the culture that they have now, the woke culture and and I found it really interesting and so classy that Walter Jones came out and said, "Hey, you can't really call it a mistake because the Black Ranger was one of the first black superheroes on television."
Yeah, yeah, and I was going to mention that Walter, has told the story a number of times that he was super stoked that he got to wear the black outfit. He thought it looked really cool, and he liked being the mastodon and having the axe and stuff. He was really into it. So, I mean, I understand what Tony is saying about thinking that it might have been a mistake and sending the wrong message, but like you pointed out, I think kids just took it and said, "Oh, he's the Black Ranger," because that's what was given to him. It wasn't that they selected it because of how he looked or anything like
Yeah.
that. It was just the morphing grid assigned him the mastodon powers, and that just happened to be the color. And I know that College Humor did a whole skit where they, Zordon is a racist and stuff, and you can poke fun at it and stuff like that. But as Walter says, um, he was like the first black superhero on television. And uh, I think that's really important, and that's what should be the focus, not the sort of blatant color coding. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
So
understand.
yeah, I mean, I agree with Walter on that whole thing.
Yeah,
So
100%. I thought it was perfectly spoken on his behalf. And kids, I know even today, some of the kids that grew up watching Power Rangers didn't think like that. I know we probably, all of us that's in our 30s, 40s, or whatever the case may be, that was watching Hollywood Demons was like, wow, they did do that, but like, who cares? But it is what it is. Looking back, how do you think Zordon's impact, not even within the pilot, but throughout the seasons and his character in general put a moral compass for the generational, youth, or the ethical or emotional legacy that he left behind? What do you think audience will take away from that?
well, I think it, even though it isn't stated outright, that the subconscious elements of the character have impacted people, because Zordon is very unique in the mentor state because he's not able to physically help the Rangers at all. When you take other mentors like Splinter from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Mr. Miyagi from the Karate Kid, they actually can impose themselves between their charge and the bad guys and take some of the heat and do, they can participate in the struggle. Zordon can't do that. All he can do is encourage and to support his team. And I think that's a really important lesson for kids that are growing up and listening, to have somebody who says, I'm in your corner no matter what. You can do this. I believe in you. And so I think that's the impact that Zordon has. And I think that's why he's lasted as one of the favorite mentors of the series, the franchise, because I think they understand that, Zordon is always going to be there for them. He's always going to be the one that has an invisible hand on their shoulder and saying, it's okay. You've got this. Stand up and do what's right.
Yeah, I love that. I'm not even gonna lie. That's where I got from it, because Zordon, he's always encouraged them to, be better. And I definitely think he was definitely top three mentors in the series completely. Now, June 5th marks the 30th anniversary of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. And it's so crazy because I remember where I was when the movie came out. But as a kid, I never realized the switch that happened with you and Robert, right? And then even later on, I, it literally was today when I learned that it wasn't even you in the movie. It was actually a gentleman named Nicholas Bell.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm
Nicholas
like,
Bell, he was the one laying in the crystal bed there. Yeah.
yeah, so all these years, about 30 years, I've always knew only your face.
Right.
And
Right.
I'm pretty sure it was like that for a lot of people, because when you're younger and you're watching this show, and you're, whether you're 5, you're 10, even if you're like 15, you're not really looking at the post credits. You're not looking at the casting. You just see a face and you hear a
Yeah.
voice. So you have always been the ideal Zordon. Now, what did you think about the movie when it first came out? And were you kind of shocked what they did with Zordon?
Well, I didn't see the movie when it first came out because I had left and had moved on
Oh,
and was doing other things. But I immediately, when once things started to uh once I started to realize, oh, this show is still going on and people want to see me and know about stuff, I went back and watched it and enjoyed it a lot. They had actually called me when they were first planning on filming it in Los Angeles, and they wanted to know where I was and what my availability was. And then I never heard anything from them again, because obviously they had gone down to Australia to save money and they cast a local down there. And that's why Zordon in the movie doesn't look like Zordon from the TV show. It's a completely different look, uh, almost like a pale uh, face that's a little like flattened out a little bit, I guess. And then of course Nicholas lying in the crystal bed is the first time and only time that we see Zordon outside of the power chamber. So yeah, but I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. the CGI could have been a lot better, but again, I don't think that they were throwing, all of their money at that. They were just concentrating on trying to tell the best story that they could and just have fun.
Yeah, I think they had like a $50 million budget, something like that. But
Something, I mean,
uh,
I know that they were down there 3 months longer than they were supposed to be because they had gone in one direction and then they scrapped all of that and had to start from scratch. So the kids got to have like a nice 6 months, 7 month time, living in Australia and living down there, and that would have been very cool. Um, but yeah, I mean, I've talked to Karen Ashley and Johnny Young Bosch and Steve Cardenas, that they were like they should have brought you down, and I'm like, yeah, they should have, but it is what it is.
yeah, how do you say you went back and you checked out some of the old stuff? When you found out the popularity of Power Rangers was still going on and the series was continuing. How did you feel about the way Zordon's story arc ended in Power Rangers in Space?
I thought it was great. I thought that they had done like a really nice heroic arc for the character and the fact that he sacrifices himself for the greater good. And it's very emotional the way that Andros plays that. Christopher Kamen Lee as Andros. The how do you kill your mentor? How do you uh, follow through with that kind of order? And I think that's very impactful. And I've had so many fans come up and tell me about they were so sad that Zordon did that, and uh, everybody likes to make fun that Andros kills Zordon, but I don't think he actually kills him because Zordon is trapped in a time warp and is existing in a different dimension. So shattering the power chamber, even though it releases all that good energy and wipes out the putties and transforms Divatox and Lord Zed, um, uh, I think it just severs Zordon's connection to this dimension of reality. I think he's still out there, and the once and always special Billy is still searching for Zordon. Billy believes that Zordon's alive, so I kind of like I'm in that camp that Zordon's out there. They just need to go find him.
I love that thought. I love that theory, man. That's something I didn't even think about until you just said it.
Yeah.
Now, if Zordon was reimagined today, right, in a prestige series or animated format, what narrative or complexities should or character flaws would you want them to explore that wasn't possible in the original run?
Well, I think they kind of touched on that in the 2017 movie with Bryan Cranston because his Zordon was so focused on trying to defeat Rita, to solve the problem, and to uh, defeat her finally once and for all, that he couldn't see uh, that he was being too harsh or um, too irritated with the Power Rangers. And of course, uh, I think a lot of those elements were placed into the movie because that was what was speaking to older fans, and people wanted a little bit more of a realistic take on the Power Rangers rather than the old rated G with extra cheese that we did on the TV show. Um, but I think if they did something new, sorry, my cat's getting through the air there. Um, if they did something new with Zordon, I would like to see them do like an animated version of the Shattered Grid from the Boom Studios comics. To see Lord Draken actually be brought to life in animation that way, and just bring back all the surviving members that were from the original show, and we could voice those characters. I think that would be great because those comics are. Uh, they do have sort of a lighthearted aspect to them, but they also have a very um, adult themed or mature take on what would actually be like to be a Power Ranger. How does it affect your life, really, rather than just doing these sort of um, monster of the week episodes or the way that the show was, in the first 3 or 4 seasons where it was just very mostly lighthearted and a lot of comedic value and stuff. And but yeah, if they did something like that's what I would think that they would go in that kind of direction.
I would love that. That's a dream come true for me. As you can see, the helmet. Like
Yeah,
Lord
I see that.
Dracon coming, like it would be so amazing. I would freak out. And I'm not even gonna lie, watching shows like Go Go Loser Ranger and what's the other one? Red Ranger becomes a adventure in another world. The anime shows that they have that are like heavy super Sentai.
Yeah,
It's like I could see Power Rangers in these shows.
yeah,
And I think that would be amazing. You can bring back, voice actors, well, Power Rangers that became voice actors, popular voice actors like Johnny Young Bosch and
yeah.
some of the other ones. It would be amazing to see them, come back in some type of form or way. I think that was an amazing idea. But we do have Disney is developing the new live action reboot of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on Disney Plus. The showrunners will be Jonathan E. Steinberg and Dan Schatz. Now, both of these gentlemen already worked on shows on Disney Plus, like Percy Jackson and the Olympians. They also worked on Apple TV's Jason Momoa C, Black Sails, and also Jericho. So now, even with Percy Jackson, they bought like a little, not I don't want to say adult theme, but like more catered to like older teens,
Mhm.
and it was pretty good. And I also see a lot of Cobra Kai in Power Rangers. Like when the show Cobra Kai came out, like you take away the morphers and stuff like that, I think that Power Rangers can do a very good job at mixing that show with maybe something like Percy Jackson because the monsters and the overall CGI for the monsters in Percy Jackson looked really good. So it gives me a lot of hope. But my question to you is what do you think will be some of the key ingredients for this show to succeed and attract new audience?
That's a great question. I'm not sure I'm qualified to answer it, but uh,
What would you like to see?
oh gosh, because there was such a charm to the original show with the very obvious suit actors in the giant Megazords and battling over this small city and stuff. So there's a real charm to that sort of uh, Japanese kaiju type production values. Um, but because of we're 35 years beyond that now or whatever. So um, I would hope that whatever special effects or CGI that they use, it does have much more of a uh, fluid and realistic look to it. One of my issues with the 2017 movie is that it took so long for them to actually transform into the Power Rangers, and that the Zords themselves were too small and too odd looking to actually be something that you would get excited about. Um,
Mm,
I really like the iconic design of the original Zords,
me
where
too.
it's very definitely a saber-tooth tiger. It's very definitely a Triceratops. So, try to keep those elements and but make it look um slightly frightening in some way that there is this huge Pacific Rim element where you have this gigantic uh mobile unit that is as tall as a building running through and battling a monster of the same size. That's got to be a little bit frightening. And uh that would I mean I don't know. I mean, I'm not part of the business anymore, so I really can't um determine, what's being said in the boardroom, what are they talking about when they're putting these scripts together and all that kind of thing. So I just hope that the guys who are putting it together take a lot of looks at, what made the show popular and try to pull in as many of those elements. I mean, I think the heart and soul of Power Rangers, at least the Mighty Morphin side that I was a part of, the heart and soul of that show was Bulk and Skull. You had these two really bumbling, villainous or tried to be villain characters who have this great arc all the way through it, where they start off as like these sort of silly villains, and then by the end of it, they're leading the charge to try to, at the final battle, they're telling everybody we've got to help the Power Rangers out, and it's a great heroic art for those characters. But I think, if you can inject some of that humor in there at certain points, Marvel does this a lot in their movies where, it's very intense action. It all looks great, but you also have these funny quips and you find yourself laughing at it. So they've got to find that balance, that equal balance there, and I hope they do that.
Yeah, I agree because when you think of Power Rangers, you think about so much. Not only do you think about, the comic relief, you think about the action side of things. Like these were actual martial artists as actors,
Yeah.
like playing these suits. So I think the choreography has to be like on point
Yeah.
when they're fighting. I feel like if they do want to do outside of the suit, I think they definitely should explore teenagers with attitudes and what they
Yeah.
go through on an everyday life, like basic, like whether it's being bullied in school or mental health, things like that. I think if the characters are written well, and they got to go back to the original. I need to see Trini, Zach, Jason, Tommy, Kimberly,
Yeah.
Billy. I think the original cast would be amazing. And
I hope that they bring the music back too. Ron Wasserman's uh all those guitar riffs, the theme, it shows up very briefly in the 2017 movie, and it got a really big reaction in the audience that I was in when I saw the movie. But I mean, that's part of the show as well. If you don't have
mhm.
those guitar licks and you have that driving, go Power Rangers music, that's such an important part of it as well.
Definitely, and they can even change it up a little bit because the X-Men animated series just dropped X-Men 97, and
Yeah.
it was a huge success
Yeah.
critically and with the audience. And the main thing that you take away from X-Men 97 is the theme song. It's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that na-na-na-na-na-na. So when you have something like Go Go Power Rangers, I feel like you can incorporate it, but also put your own spin on it. Just don't, fade to wave.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, bring back a 90s guitarist to add to it. Get Tom Morello or Slash or somebody like that in there and play that guitar riff. Yeah, it'll be great.
All right, the next questions are universal. I ask all my guests these questions. We're coming to the end of the show. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, check us out on Spotify. And if you do like, comment, and subscribe, we're giving away a PS5 at the milestone of 5K. We just
Nice.
gave one away at 2.5. Big shout out to BK Numbers, for winning that. Thank you so much for all your support. Now, who are your top 5 Power Rangers of all time? Well, let's do top 3.
Top
Let's do
three?
your Mount Rushmore. We'll do
My Mount
4.
my Mount Rushmore of Power Rangers. Uh, is this just characters from the show or just the actual Power Rangers?
These are the characters from the show. Like, so it could be or the Power Ranger. Let's just do Power Rangers so we can make it simple. Blue Ranger, Green Ranger.
Um, Gosh, this is such a hard question because there's so many great characters. Tommy Oliver obviously is going to have to be one of them because he wasn't just the Green Ranger and the White Ranger. He went on to become, he wore red, he wore black. I mean, he had a whole spectrum, and his contribution to the franchise is indisputable as far as like uh, how he connected to the audience, and that's one of the reasons why he's so popular. So Tommy Oliver would have to be up there.
Yeah, he was the
Zach,
face. Zach,
yeah,
yeah, Zach was. Hey
Zach
man,
has
he
to be
he
up there.
developed his own style of fighting. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, talk about teenager with attitude. That guy had such a great one. Um, Jason is also great, but for different reasons because he is the sort of stoic, strong-jawed type character where he doesn't say a whole lot, but he gets the job done. He gets that done. Wes from Time Force is another great Power Ranger. He would be great.
That's four. That's four.
And Jen as well from Time Force is great. I believe that's her name. Erin Cahill's character was Jen, right? I think. Um, uh, so many great Power Rangers.
You got your four though. You got Tommy, Zach, Jason, and Wes. So those
Wes,
would
there
be
you
your
go.
four.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, that's phenomenal. Now, the next question, we're gonna go all over the place. We're gonna
Okay.
go fiction. Period. Who are your five best fictional characters? Who is your top five best fictional characters of all time?
Wow. Okay. I'm a big fan of pulp stories from like the late 20s and early 30s. Those characters. So Doc Savage is a big character for me. Um, uh, I also enjoy uh, Snake Plissken from Escape from New York. That character is great.
Oh, that was my
Um,
grandma's favorite.
yeah,
That's
he's
Kurt Russell, right?
yeah, yeah, and talk about somebody with attitude. Snake Plissken's got a lot of attitude. Um, John Wick is another great
Oh,
fictional character.
that's my joint. I love that franchise.
Yeah, yeah. Oh gosh, who else?
Got two more.
Two more. Oh my gosh.
You
Oh
can go into
wow.
books also, TV shows, movies, cartoons.
Wow, this is a great question because there are so many to choose from. There are so many influences.
I was just
Captain America has to be there. He's
oh,
my all-time Steve Rogers and um Sam Wilson. The Captain America character is very dear and near to my heart, so he has to be one of them. Um, oh gosh,
got one
who
more.
else? Yeah. Um,
I know this is a hard one because every time I think of it or I ask the question, I think to myself, who would be mine? And I get a
uh,
different answer every time.
I think the last one has to be Samwise Gamgee from Lord of the Rings because he is
Oh,
again one of those tried and true characters that stays loyal and stays the course throughout the entire uh line of that story, and he's a true hero. So Samwise Gamgee is the last one.
I love it. Are there any lines from Zordon that resonated with you on a personal level?
Yeah, I mean, there's two. There's the teleport to the command center is, very iconic, but I think the one that always sticks with me the most is "May the power protect you."
Love it. Are there any upcoming conventions or projects you're able to talk about?
I don't have any upcoming conventions. I'm hoping to have some other ones lined up. I just got through doing one 2 weeks ago in Lufkin, Texas. So I hope I have another one coming up soon. But I don't have anything set in stone at this moment in time. And right now I'm just currently working on book 4 of my Lincoln Bright series. That's what I'm working on right now.
Oh, I love it. So you're a writer.
I am, yeah. I have a series of supernatural paranormal books called the Lincoln Bright Stories. Gifts, no, Glims, Gaunts, and Gifts are the first 3 books, and I'm currently working on book 4, The Dead.
Oh, I love it, man. Where can people find these books if I wanted to check it out?
You can find them on Barnes and Noble. The just put my name into the search bar, and they should come up. So yeah.
And let people know where they can find you at on social media.
You can find me on Blue Sky. You can also find me on Instagram at DJ Fielding _Zordon.
Thank you so much for coming to the show. I hope we can get you back sometime to talk more Power Rangers.
Oh, you bet.
And hey, if you're ever coming to Tulsa, let me know, man. They got a convention August, I think 9th to 10th. You should check it out and come out here, man. The
I would
Oklahoma
love
Comic
to.
Con. That would be
Yeah.
amazing. I'd love to go down there and get something signed from you. Do you have a website or something or Streamily where people can go get autographs from you?
My booking agent is Celebrity Talent Booking, and I believe that they have a place where you can pre-order prints or something like that. Or you can reach me on Cameo and get a cameo from me. That's another way to get a hold of stuff. So yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Heroes, Villains. This has been our episode. And like always, man, please don't forget to love yourself, pass that love on, and love others. And if nobody told you so, just know your boy love you. We got a bunch more Power Ranger members from the cast of Mighty Morphin to Time Force, Wild Force. Man, it's just so much I can't think of right now. Make sure y'all follow me at Fleeboy Jetson on social media. I'll keep you updated with all the interviews coming out. The whole month of June will be every week. We'll be dropping the new Power Rangers series. Thank you so much, David, for coming on the show. You got anything to say before we get up out of here?
Well, as Zordon would tell you, may the power protect you.
Heroes, Villains, we're out of here.
Sing it with me.